Thank you so much for joining us today to get a foundational understanding of how to manage your Macs with Jamf. My name is Sean. I'm part of the Jamf team, and I will be walking us through today's presentation. Before we dig into today's content, here's a quick look at our agenda. We'll provide a quick overview of Jamf for those of you who are new and haven't yet worked with us, and then we'll dive into today's topic. An introduction of Apple's solutions and programs to streamline support in managing Macs, followed by an introduction to Mac management. We will take a deeper dive into each section of managing Macs. Finally, throughout the presentation, we will cover best practices so you can get started with managing Macs today. Alright, so to provide an overview of Jamf, who are we and what do we believe? Our mission is simple. Help organizations succeed with Apple. Jamf was founded 19 years ago with that one goal in mind. And we're here to help elevate and enhance the Apple experience in the workplace for IT and end users alike. We focus exclusively on supporting Apple hardware. Since Jamf focuses solely on Apple, this allows our customers to have a best-in-class support and more features that speak directly to the Apple platform. Jamf's Apple Enterprise Management Solutions are here to help organizations connect, manage, and protect Apple devices. In today's webinar, we'll be diving into many of the basics an organization must consider to efficiently manage Mac devices. We'll discuss solutions to those challenges with a focus on our product, Jamf Pro. As we mentioned earlier, we have been doing this for 19 years, which has given us the opportunity to work with some great organizations. In fact, Jamf helps more than 50,000 organizations manage over 20 million Apple devices and counting. When the enterprise needs the world leader in Apple management, they turn to Jamf. The world's most valuable brands, top tech companies, and largest companies and banks choose Jamf for Apple management. But it's not just those large enterprises with thousands of devices. It's also your small Main Street businesses with 5. Whatever the size or complexity of your organization, we care about one thing: helping you succeed with Apple. Finally, we have a history of providing same-day support for new operating services and systems. This ensures end users can take advantage of new Apple capabilities the day they are available. Here, you can see our track record. Anytime Apple has a new operating system release, we're not only ready same day, but our customers can pre-test the new operating system in their environments as well because we have betas. Because we have same-day operating system support, your IT team can deploy or end users can upgrade to the newest operating system without penalty. Or, if your organization is not ready, that's okay, because with Jamf, IT has the ability to postpone upgrades until the time is right after further testing. Regardless of when your team is ready to upgrade, we'll be right there with you. Okay, let's talk about mobile device management, also known as MDM. Apple devices can understand and apply settings, like passcode restrictions, to devices thanks to the built-in MDM framework. Essentially, MDM means providing a way for you to have admin rights for devices used for work. The two main components are configuration profiles and management commands. Configuration profiles define various settings and tell a device how to behave and are used to automate things like configuring passcode settings or Wi-Fi passwords. Management commands are singular commands that you can send to your managed devices to take specific actions. For example, if a device has gone missing, you can put it into lost mode or send a remote wipe command. Finally, there's Apple's push notification service, which is how the above components communicate to the device. We'll discuss APNS in more detail in a few slides. Since macOS is a more robust platform than iOS or iPadOS, it may require more advanced functionality. Client management, which is only available for macOS, allows you to install a Mac agent, also known as a binary. A binary gets installed after device enrollment for both new or existing devices already in use. It creates hidden admin account, giving IT full admin rights without having to physically be in front of the device. It allows for more policies and scripts to be run on a computer. Now that we have a basic understanding of MDM, let's put our focus on Apple's services and programs. This is a key element to being successful in managing and supporting apps. There are 3 solutions Apple has available that we want to talk about today, all of which are free. Apple Push Notification Service, Apple Business Manager, and Apple School Manager. Okay, APNS. What exactly is it? As I mentioned earlier, it's the delivery method for communications sent to apps. Think push notifications. Every Apple device talks to Apple's push notification service, company-owned or personally owned. APNS is kept private to your organization by obtaining a secure certificate from Apple. Apple's server then maintains a constant connection to devices so you don't have to. Devices communicate back to your management server, like Jamf Pro, and receives commands, settings, configurations, or apps. When a device is enrolled into Jamf Pro, the device not only talks to Apple's push notification service, it changes the device and puts the Jamf profile on the device as it's talking to our server too. So if you're managing a device, that's how we get apps, email settings, Wi-Fi settings, permissions restrictions, you name it. This will give you admin rights to the device and can be changed in real time as long as there's an internet connection. Let's explore that second piece, Apple Business Manager and Apple School Manager. For the majority of our presentation today, we'll be focusing on Apple Business Manager. There are 2 elements to Apple Business Manager. The first one is automated enrollment. The second is apps and books. Device enrollment, which automatically enrolls and manages devices into Jamf right out of the box, while unlocking additional management features with Supervision. Apps and books helps organizations easily purchase and distribute apps in bulk. If you're currently managing personal Apple IDs, reimbursing employees for purchasing an app with their own credit card, or worried about app security and data that's work-related, this is essential. It eliminates the need for managing personal or multiple Apple IDs because this program functions as a one Apple ID to rule them all and as a company app store. So, for anyone part of a help desk, going through Apple Business Manager is going to be incredibly helpful for streamlining app purchasing and automated MDM enrollment. On the left side of this slide, underneath automated MDM enrollment, is supervising devices, which I'd like to highlight a little further. Think of Jamf giving you admin rights over the Apple devices, but when a device has been supervised and purchased through Apple Business Manager, it unlocks an additional layer of admin rights and security features that become available in Jamf. It changes the DNA of the device saying, hang on, an organization owns this device, not the employee using it, therefore the organization should have more admin rights. So, if you want to make sure the MDM profile can never be removed by an employee, or if an employee signs in with a personal Apple ID, you want to make sure that you don't get locked out. Supervision via Apple Business Manager is key. That, with Jamf Pro into the mix, is going to be incredibly helpful. Alright, let's dig into Mac management. You will undoubtedly have questions surrounding Mac management, or even around management as a whole. Important questions like, how do we roll this out? How are we going to manage our Macs? How do we make sure they are secure? And how do we support our Macs, our teams, and our end users? These are the items you should be thinking about. What we see here is the overall lifecycle of managing Macs with Jamf Pro. Deployment and provisioning, or setting up the device and getting it to the end user. Configuration management, or applying the correct settings to the devices. App management, ensuring the correct software and apps are on each device. Inventory, reporting on the status of each device and its software. Security, making sure devices are up to organizational standards. And user empowerment, providing users self-help when they require resources and services. We'll talk through each one of these sections in more detail. Alright, let's talk about device deployment. What you see here is an example of a traditional provisioning workflow, which requires IT to manually touch and configure the device. In other words, IT unboxes each device one by one. Then, IT preloads the image, puts a profile on the Mac, stores the device away in storage, and finally, at some point, gives the device to the end user. This is a time-consuming and labor-intensive method to set up the device and not required for managing Macs. And why is that? Because of automated device enrollment with Apple Business Manager. This automated enrollment process allows you to configure any Mac purchase from Apple or an Apple's authorized reseller and customize each device for your users, all without ever having to touch the device. Hardware purchases are associated with your Apple customer number or reseller ID and automatically enroll a device into management under an Apple management solution. Automated device enrollment enables you to provide a great zero-touch experience for end users. They simply open up the box, turn on the device, and get to work, whether your employees are on-site or remote. What we see here is a brand new device from the end user's perspective, getting unboxed and turned on for the first time. The end user is going through normal device setup, selecting their language, connecting to the internet, etc. As this is happening, their Mac is talking to Apple's push notification server and Jamf Pro. The device is getting automatically enrolled, no additional interaction needed. It's recognizing this is a company-owned device and applying the MDM settings pre-arranged in Jamf Pro. We skipped a bunch of steps, saved a bunch of setup time, and are now already at the main screen. What we're seeing here is the power of Jamf Pro, Apple Business Manager, and Apple's push notification service server in action. This is the power of zero-touch enrollment. To recap the workflow that we just saw, this takes out the manual labor for a brand new device. The device turns on, it talks to Apple's push notification service. We see the remote management notification, which means the device is talking to Jamf Pro. Finally, permissions, restrictions, and applications all come down over the cloud, which was pre-approved by IT. This is the preferred way to enroll new devices out of the box. However, sometimes a user will already have a device that needs to be enrolled. For that option, there is also user-initiated enrollment. With this enrollment type, a user will enroll their own Mac by visiting a URL that your MDM server creates. User-initiated enrollment is best in bring your own device programs, or if for some reason automatic zero-touch enrollment is not an option. Okay, the next area we want to talk about today is configuration management. This is where you can personalize and tailor individual devices or groups of devices based on the needs of your end users. We have configuration profiles, policies, smart targeting, and scripts. Configuration profiles are small XML files that you create and distribute to devices. These profiles tell the device what to do, like applying Wi-Fi settings or email settings. Next, we have policies, which are unique to the macOS client management. Why are policies so important? Because they go beyond basic device management capabilities of the MDM configuration profiles and help IT install customer software and printers, manage local user accounts, and conduct advanced management workflows. We also want to touch upon smart targeting, which collects inventory details, including custom inventory attributes you define for all managed devices. This helps with a number of vital topics for your devices, like which devices require software updates. Depending on your MDM, you can build groups based on inventory criteria and then trigger device management tasks automatically to specific individuals or groups. Finally, we have scripts, which are actually part of policies. The ability to run scripts provides more flexibility than standard configuration profiles and brings about an infinite number of device management capabilities. Earlier, we talked about ABM. Now let's see how ABM, also known as Apple Business Manager, and Jamf Pro work together with volume purchasing of apps and books for app management and distribution. Let's go through a demo. What we're seeing here is a Jamf Pro interface. We have a direct integration built in with Apple's volume purchasing of apps and books. So I'm going to search for a Microsoft app that I want to deploy, and it's bringing up a bunch of options. I choose Microsoft OneNote. and I can put it to a site and I can categorize it in self-service. I can also make sure Jamf Pro is automatically looking for the latest versions. I can make it available in the self-help tool, or I can install it automatically. I can put it out there for everybody, a group of users, or a specific computer. And I can choose different options, such as having a description. I can even ensure that users view the description if I wish. You can really customize a lot of things we see here. So, where do your apps come from? Often, the answer is a mix of locations, like the App Store, vendor source installer packages, or manually created packages files. Every Apple user will be familiar with the App Store. Not only does the App Store offer millions of applications, it's paired seamlessly with Apple Business Manager, Apple School Manager, and your MDM, like Jamf. Vendor source installer packages can be downloaded from an independent developer and then uploaded for delivery through a policy within Jamf Pro. It should be noted that not all vendors make their installers the same or use PKG files. Some vendors will place an application file within a disk image, which then requires additional work for IT administrator to process it and convert it to a PKG file. Jamf Composer is one such method to accomplish a package manually. Let's break down vendor-sourced apps a little more. What you see here is the workflow for vendor-sourced apps. For custom software deployments and apps outside of the App Store, you can use a software like Composer to create a custom package. You can then upload that package to Jamf Pro and push it out to your Mac clients with a Jamf agent. Leveraging ABM and ASM integrated with your MDM profile is the ideal foundation for anyone to purchase and deploy apps. Packages allow IT to package up an app, scope it to a device or profile, and deploy it through a policy. Using a policy, you can run scripts, manage accounts, and distribute software. When you create a policy, you specify the tasks you want to automate, how often it should run, when the policy should run, and the users and computers for which it should run to. Using app catalogs, like Jamf Pro's self-service, puts the onus on users to select the apps they need for their own success. This empowers users to work with their IT department to identify what apps they need to get the job done, while allowing IT to offer a full catalog of approved options for their users. We'll talk more about app catalogs and self-service further into this presentation. We talked about apps and books earlier, which helps organizations easily purchase and distribute apps in bulk. Apps can be reassigned as deployment needs change. Patch management is the process of updating software. This is for apps that are distributed outside of the App Store. Once third-party software is installed, you can automate the patching or updating of that software with Jamf's built-in patch management tools. Jamf Pro's patch management feature allows administrators to subscribe to an ongoing feed of software version data, empowering them with timely reporting information, as well as with the ability to take action and patch the device. This is really what we are after, making the process of updating apps easy for you. Now let's look at some best practices with Jamf Pro for inventory of Macs. Reporting with Jamf can be done for any device enrolled: Macs, iOS, iPadOS, or Apple TV. For macOS inventory, you can collect data for a number of different levels. For hardware, you can collect data including device type, model, serial number, or battery level. For management, you can collect data like IP address, enrollment method, security status. For software, you can collect data including OS version, apps installed, storage capacity, or available space. And you can collect data on additional details like certificate installed, purchasing information, or last inventory update, to just name a few. It's important to group and gather that data to help you have a bird's eye view of your technology. Jamf collects a wide range of inventory data that will let you build custom reports for the information that you care about. After all, You can't manage what you can't measure. Groups can be created for your Apple devices, and you can leverage inventory data to create those. We deal with two types of groups: static groups and smart groups. Static groups are a defined group of devices that you can apply a profile or management policy. Static groups are great for a known group, like a classroom, a lab, or a department. Smart groups work the other way around. They are dynamic and always changing based on inventory data. You set a list of criteria, and Jamf Pro will dynamically search your inventory for matching devices. You can then set profiles or policies to run automatically based on membership of that group. Let's dig a little further into smart groups. With Jamf Pro, we actually have a pattern for our device reporting, meaning our reporting makes us unique. We leverage smart groups to give IT accurate information as it changes, allowing them to be proactive with information for the technology. And note, this is not pulling any personal information, so it's not looking at iMessages, for example. It's only looking at device information. Like Apple, privacy is of utmost importance to us. We want to make sure that IT has what they need from a device perspective to be proactive. Let's see some examples of smart groups and what we could offer. For example, if I want to see all the Macs in Apple Business Manager, maybe I want to see devices that haven't checked in for a certain amount of time. I can determine the time frame, like 2 weeks. Whatever I want to do, this is allowing me, as an admin, to become proactive. In addition, you can also even take that a step further with custom fields or extension attributes, and here are some examples. You can report on things like, I want to know the Macs that have not backed up with Druva in over 4 days, and allow myself to see which devices are not backing up. Alright, let's pivot and look at security. A key element in managing Macs is leveraging Apple's native features to secure the devices. Jamf builds off the security foundation Apple already built into the device. With other devices, you might need a third-party solution to support it, whereas with Mac, much of the security is already built into the macOS. So Macs really have many features built in natively: firewall, gatekeeper for apps, signing in, notarization, XProtect. All these vital features that you need are already built in. Apple offers an incredibly secure platform, and even though much is already built in, you still need to manage it from an admin level, and that's where you would use Jamf Pro to manage and further support security. Here's the Jamf Pro interface. I can require FireVault, or I can create recovery keys. I can require a user to unlock FireVault 2. I'm just really clicking around to show you, but this is an example of how I can use our encryption tools. I want to enable firewall. It's just with a click. And there are things I can customize if needed as well. And then gatekeeper. Do I need to do anything here? Is there anything I want to change? Again, I'm managing things built into that operating system from the admin level. Earlier I mentioned policies with the Jamf agent to allow you to have tasks, and this is where we want to have that. So we have FireVault. Maybe I have a device that is not currently encrypted. I can apply a disk configuration encryption remotely so I can have it at the next login. I can issue a new recovery key, and I can do it at an institutional or individual level. I just want to make sure that should I see something, I should say, something is not encrypted. I can take that action, and I can apply it to a group of users or to a specific user. And if needed, I can also customize messaging, so I can allow a deferral if I don't want to disrupt our user's workflow. I can customize this to keep the end user experience in mind. Now, let's look at configuration profiles. This is really that collection of settings in MDM, and this is where we can also take that to the next level for security. So if we look at this example in the interface, I've got some restrictions. I can restrict items and system preferences on the Mac. Do I want to allow people to use the camera? Do I want to allow iCloud Drive or some of these consumer features like Find My Mac, Keychain, or iCloud. Maybe there are certain things within our organization we can't allow users to have access to. I can make these changes over the air with Jamf Pro. So whether the computer is in the office or in someone's home, if I need to ever change this at any time, I can keep security moving forward and pivot with any changes so long as there's an internet connection. And to further help with security beyond Jamf Pro and beyond the native tools in Apple, we also have Jamf Connect. Jamf Connect helps streamline Mac authentication and identity management. It gives users the ability to access their Mac and their applications with a single identity. It requires a cloud identity, giving IT admins the ability to monitor who is accessing devices and ensure a user's cloud identity passwords are synced down to the local level on the Mac. And Jamf Protect is an endpoint security solution purpose-built for Mac. This gives an organization's security teams the ability to really see security at a new level for their entire macOS fleets. With Jamf Protect, we help customers maintain endpoint compliance, prevent macOS malware, detect and remediate Mac-specific threats with minimal impact to the device and to the end user experience. Speaking of end users, let's move to our last topic of Mac management, user empowerment. After all, they are the ones who will be using these Macs day in and day out. Apple is well known, rightfully so, as having a best-in-class user experience. At Jamf, we try to do the same, which is why we have something called self-service. Earlier, I talked about app catalogs. What we see here is Jamf Self-Service for Mac, our app catalog or self-help tool. This is a branded and customizable app catalog with instant access to the resources, content, trusted apps end users need without having to submit a ticket to IT. An app catalog like self-service helps end users and IT alike. Why? Because a tool like self-service means less tickets for IT to solve and more productivity time for end users. IT can also integrate with directory services to personal content based on department, user role, location, and more. And they can automate common IT tasks like password resets. And users get to install software and apps themselves with the click of a button because IT pre-approved it and set it up. They are notified of any software updates. They can grab that in self-service, and since it is pre-programmed by IT, they can install printer drivers or softwares, for example. Speaking of apps and software, your users, whether an employee or student, interact with apps. How users get their apps can differ. We have silent installation, which happens at enrollment and comes outfitted with a device. Notifications, where admins can call out that an update is available via notifications, badges, or reminders. Admins can choose to give users the autonomy to update apps in their own time. As an admin, you can still track which apps are installed within your fleet of devices and shift the strategy for a particular app if more management or updates needs to occur. Or, admins can choose to install an application ASAP with no option for the end user to defer the installation. Although this could be considered intrusive to the user, it is an important method when admins have an app with important security updates. Because of the potential interruption to a user, this method should be used wisely. Okay, so we just covered a lot of information. Let's recap what we learned about. This is what a path to success in Mac management looks like. Get started with Apple Business Manager by visiting out or reaching out to your Apple contact. Remember the sections we touched on today to deploy, configure, manage your apps, security, and inventory. These themes are the foundation to having a successful Mac environment at your organization. And remember, look at Jamf Pro, determine what your needs are, put them in a configuration profile, and then when you're ready, enroll your existing devices or apply that to a brand new device out of the box. Add any permissions restrictions and software settings. And then, of course, integrate with other solutions you may need. And Jamf Pro can be hosted in the cloud or on-premise. Most of our customers are in the cloud, but we understand some of you may need it locally, and that's okay. It's exactly why we have both. If you're planning out your infrastructure, we can also help you determine what would work best for you. Essentially, if you do on-prem, you'll need a lightweight server or MySQL database. Otherwise, If we host it in the cloud, you don't have to really worry about anything at all. And a few resources to help guide you as you get started with managing your Macs. Jamf offers more to help you be successful. Our professional services offer on-location or remote services to customize Jamf for your environment. We also offer certification courses led by our training team. This is where you can become an expert in Jamf and widen your skill sets. Finally, we have world-class support from Apple experts across the globe. We even offer 24/7 via our premium support packages. And we integrate with third-party tools too, such as Active Directory, Single Sign-On, SCCM, Cisco, ServiceNow, and we even have our own API. As we talked about today, we integrate with Apple's programs and services, APNS, Apple Business and School Manager, automated MDM enrollment, and automated purchasing of apps and books. We also have the Marketplace, which is tools and resources to help make the Jamf platform more useful to our customers. We have the Developer Portal, which is the enablement of the community to build tools and resources to help others. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we are nothing without our customers, and that is proven with the Jamf Nation community. This online forum is home to over 100,000 Apple IT-focused individuals that learn from each other, discuss best practices, and have access to a wealth of resources and third-party tools. Create a free account today to join in on the discussion. Okay, let's chat next steps. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us. I hope you learned something new today. If you're ready to get started with Jamf, feel free to scan this QR code with your phone, or you can simply email us for more information to schedule a demo, or if you have any questions by reaching out to info@jamf.com.